Good day, folks, and welcome back to Wartales with me, Cornish-knight, and the Colonel Company, as we attempt to try and survive in the archipelago. I will say, one of the things I dislike about this game, especially at high levels, come on, get on the boat, is just how much the game does a lot of hand waving, which is really annoying. And I dislike it. I dislike how okay. Easiest thing for me to explain is that there's a lot of passive abilities in this game that just kill you over time, like bleed and poison and stuff. And normally that's not an issue. I don't have an issue with those kind of mechanics. Like, you need to have them in games. But my problem is I dislike how certain factions just have them on everybody. So it means that you end up fighting a faction who just curb stomps you because of them having the abilities. So I'm looking at the contract that we have to go and fight, and it's the Legionnaires. And the problem with the Legionnaires in this game is that you can fight them just fine, but if you haven't got a party which is spec'd for dealing with poison, with bleed damage, they basically wreck you. For a mixture of just accumulated blood loss. So it's one of the things I do dislike about this game, just the amount.
It seems Shora's farm has been raided by pirates.
Just the sheer amount of hand holding the AI gets. Like, the AI in this game isn't great. I'm not going to lie. I find it pretty basic, and as such, they give them very overpowered abilities. Now, and that's in and of itself, that's not a problem. I didn't sell the blinking corkscrew thing, did I? No, I think I put it away in a safe space. Better have. I'll be annoyed if I haven't. Yeah, let's just rest. It's cost a little bit of money, but we keep our food supplies. Why am I saying this? Because, like, as I've been playing this game, the higher levels have become more and more frustrating for me. Not because of things like difficulty per se, but it's more the fact that it becomes much more apparent just how much advantage the AI is being given in fights. A lot of the fights we've been having recently have been stuff like 30-40% damage reduction and all these other things that they have on top of it. Which in and of itself I don't mind, but eventually it grates because you feel that you're constantly fighting against the game to make progress. Okay, so that's done. I suppose we'll see if there's any contract work.
Might she be looking for work?
Okay. Still the way up there. Which means if we wanted to, we'd have to go back this way, realistically speaking. I mean, there's a job down here which we could do. Might be worth it.
Dear Ninson went off to inspect Shora's farm. I should have insisted.
Okay. Right here. We need to make some money somehow, do something to basically better ourselves in this situation. We really haven't even explored the island. And that doesn't look like a farm, that looks like a arena. It's a bunch of really nasty looking bandits. Okay. I don't know. Like, it's just... I am getting a bit frustrated with the game. It feels less like a difficulty challenge and more like you're trying to overcome mechanics. Which I don't find enjoyable. Because it's like... most of the issues I'm having aren't with the fights themselves. It's dealing with the constant amount of like, oh yeah, there's like massive amount of bleed every time you attack this person, or there's this, or there's that, and it's like, oh, okay. So how do we deal with these things? Everybody's dead. We'll take the pork, because, you know, free food. I will get my wood chopper to chop some wood in the middle of all the havoc. Okay. Got some olives on him.
Kidnapping and murdering farmers. Those bastards don't deserve to keep breathing. If it's war those pirates want, it's war they'll get. I saw their ship sailing away from the coast. You can still catch up with them. Hurry! I want them to understand the consequences of attacking my peasants. Bring back the farmers they kidnapped and exterminate those pirates. I want to be sure they never set foot on this island again.
Okay. Oh. Nothing else here that I can see. Let's just take a quick once around the perimeter, because you never know what's hidden away. Okay. No, okay, there's a tomb up here, is there? That's annoying. Okay. I don't know, I'm not getting burnt out by the game, I just dislike how the game is handling like late game content. Okay, let's eat a bunch of this. Chop some wood. Okay, so if we're going to go into a fight soon, we better have companion who can't aim properly is danger to the whole camp. We must consider Sophia's future amongst us. Yeah, let's just say this doesn't mean any harm. Okay. Wood parts. They're up there, which is annoying. Okay. But doable. will you sod off dislike the... Fine, you know what? Yeah. I've had enough of dealing with you. You constantly just cunning up and trying to come after me, so let's just take this fight. Okay. Sea battles. A unit pushed overboard is left hanging and can no longer be used. The skills that can be rescued by an ally or killed by an enemy in melee range. Boarding. Ropes can be used to board the enemy's ship. The units using them disappear into the rigging and drop back down at a distance of the next round, damaging and knocking back nearby enemies. Ballistic combat. Sorry, blister combat. Blisters ensure knock back all units in the line of fire. Okay. So it's okay. So at least it's just a straight up fight, and we're not having to do anything dumb. Don't have any blisters. They don't have any blisters. Now let's get our AoE fighters. Like the AoE fighters are the ones that are going to be taking the aggressive approach, I think. With our blocking troops. Like there. Okay. Where's their boss? Their boss is right there. Okay, he's probably got to swing across. So we need to have our chunky lads sort of there. Something like this should work. Yeah. So how do we do this? Attack. Okay. So they got all the further bits lined up. He's going to attack next turn, I take it. Okay. Now let's get it. Man, that's just... Can't attack, which sucks. but I can do this to him. Man, I'm just going to keep spawning that thing. Or spamming that thing. Starting a duel. If the enemy character is normal left, you can challenge them to a duel with a melee unit. No, we're just gonna blinking beat him to death. Like, who fights fair in a... Yeah, I'm gonna get sick of this mechanic. I can see this now. It combines some of the things I hate the most about games like this. It's when developers think they're adding a really cool feature by doing it this way, when in fact it's just tedious. Okay, great. I'm just getting really... I really like Wartales, but like the high-end, the late-game content is just really frustrating for me. It's not fun, it's just really sort of... I don't know how to explain it. It's just really sort of like, okay, so they couldn't make better AI, they just made this. I think is the best way to describe it. And it's like they're constantly spamming this thing. It's like it's not fun if the AI constantly just spams a particular ability. It means that it's like, oh, it's the best optimal thing, so we're going to do this. I'm not trying to be salty, I'm just disappointed. Because the game could be so much more than what it sort of is, I think. It's going to run down there and it's going to fire the ballistica again. See? This keeps doing it. It just keeps doing it. They keep doing the one thing. Which means that if you don't have something like that, it becomes really unbalanced. I mean, I've already killed their blasted captain, for Peter's sake. How much more do you want me to do to you? I don't know, I'm getting really frustrated by this, to be honest. I like the game, but I'm just really disliking the late game content. Just because it feels unbalanced, like they're having to make up for flaws in their own system by doing it like this. Like, he's going to run over there and he's going to set up the billet. And I'm going to lose him now as well. And we don't have any easy way of solving any of this, do we? No, we don't. Because why would we? Why would the game give us any easy opportunities to actually solve problems, rather than just favouring the AI constantly. Because that would be unfair for the AI, wouldn't it? And look, it's loading up this again. I don't know. I'm just becoming really... annoyed by this game. I don't mean to be. I've been playing it for so long, but it's like this entire late game content is showing elements of the game I really dislike. How that they've basically made up the fact that their AI isn't great by just giving them tons of annoying, spammable abilities to overcome the fact that they just couldn't be bothered to make decent combat AI. It's like these guys, they constantly just do a ton of damage. And then they give them all traits that basically feed into this one ability. I wouldn't mind it if the enemy had different traits, but they all have the same traits. Like all the archers have exactly the same thing, which means they're really dangerous with this one ability. I don't know. It's just I don't know how you fix it, but it's really frustrating. And now he's going to kill this guy. Did I just kill one of my own blokes? I did. I just killed one of my own blokes. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay, we're gonna have... No, I'm not doing this. This is really annoying. I'm not enjoying this. Can I be straight up honest with you? This boat fight is just boring, and the fact that they make you have to fight these ship lords, these pirate lords. You can't avoid fighting them. This isn't a fun this isn't a fun thing to do. It's just really tedious, and it plays up to some of the worst elements of Wartales, which is that at late level they just give a lot of very overpowered talents to a lot of enemies, and then have a lot of enemies on the map. I don't know. I'm not enjoying doing this. I'm not going to lie. I'm finding this really frustrating. The fact that I've got a bloke now who's hanging off the edge. I've lost one of my guys who's gone into the water. They're just constantly spamming an ability which apparently they can just have unlimited amounts of ammunition for and just spam it constantly. I've got no way of counteracting it easily. I suppose what you're supposed to use the ropes and drop in behind them. This is not fun for me. I like challenging games, but this isn't challenging. This is just tedium, because they've all got the same. There's about 3 enemy types. They've all got the same blinking stat line. I killed the captain. Why don't they just break and run? I mean, it feels pointless to fight the captains, because oh, yeah, our captain's dead, but we're going to still keep fighting. We're not going to surrender or beg for mercy or try and flee. We're going to kill us all. I don't know. I just find it... I'm not enjoying myself doing this. The last couple of videos I've been doing of this series is that the fights aren't bad per se, but they really sort of sew up the flaws of the late game content in this, which is that late game content is broken. Like, the enemies are stupidly, like, meta built to be really effective in doing one thing, which is, like, take this archer. Like, they do this. Divine Shot deals 102 damage to all units in the area, so it's an AoE shot that's really powerful. And then they have a bunch of abilities. Yeah, they get inspiration, so it means they can move farther. They gain +1 fervor every turn. They get a bunch of luck every turn, every time the favour is applied. So, the longer the fight goes on, the just more broken they become. I don't like the whole being knocked overboard thing, which when you it sounds fine in practice, but when you're having such big battles and the enemies just spawn AoE abilities and can drop from the sky, I think having either dropping from the sky or being knocked overboard is fine. Having both of it combined so that you're just getting people knocked overboard constantly is stupid. I don't know. I don't know how to deal with this. I hate the fact that we've lost party members that I now can't get back. I don't know who we've lost. Yeah, we've lost our hammer guy. Our hammer guy's dead. So not only have we lost him, we've lost all of his really specialist equipment. Like, this is really, really frustrating for me. I like the game, but I'm really not liking the late game content. I'm finding late game content, it's not difficult, don't get me wrong. It's not that it's difficult, it's tedious. It's tedious in the fact that the fight's taking much longer, which I haven't got a problem with, but it's like, okay, are the enemies actually harder? No. It's the fact is that if it was like their attacks were nasty, yeah, I understand that. I could deal with that. But it's the fact is that they get so many passive buffs. That just mean they are overpowered in one thing, and that's all. It's basically a cheatman's way of solving a problem with combat, I find, which is that rather than try and make decent combats, you basically get one enemy and you overspec them to do one thing. Like this guy here. Like, he will basically only spawn AoE attacks with an ever-increasing chance of doing critical hits, and he gets quite regular critical hits on enemies. And the enemy will get, like, what? Let's see how many got. 1, 2, 3. There's another one we just killed. So they had 4 of them, and they're spamming that all the time. So you're doing on average at least 101 points of damage every turn to everyone in an area. I mean, yeah, I know my guys aren't the highest equipped levels, but it was this area or we go to the Frozen Wasteland. And the Frozen Wasteland is just stupid with how like over-optimized units in those areas are. I know they're supposed to be late game content, but there are limits to what you can do. And I know this area is supposed to be, we're in here, is supposed to be a similar level, but I dislike the fact that they constantly say, okay, every time you're doing something, eventually you're going to have to fight one of these shit battles where the enemy's broken. I'm not having fun. I'm not going to lie. Like, this is really annoying. I dislike how many like insta-kill mechanics are being popped up, like being knocked overboard, which insta-kills you, which is fine. I get that, that's fine. But limit it to enemies shoving you or doing shield bashes or something like that. Don't do it where there's how many blinking ropes about a ship where you can just suddenly drop down out of the air and decimate a front line and knock everyone into the water. Because that's not fun. Because what will happen is, like, in response to basically this, is that I'm going to basically stick directly into this inner zone so that they can't do that. But the downside of that is that because I don't have a ballistica, a ballista here at the back, they're just going to constantly spam it on me. So I'm going to take damage no matter what. There's no good tactical solution for dealing with that. It's just that the enemy has a unbalanced sort of setup against you. And it's like, the thing is, I can restart the fight. Let's say, okay, restart the battle, yeah? I'm going to restart it because I'm not happy with this fight. Because I thought, oh, if we killed the boss will basically supposed to be a duel between pirate captains, like an honourable duel between pirate captains. So if we kill the pirate captain, they should give up, right? No. Okay. And then we've got ballista, which you can't do anything with. So we need to basically neutralise this straight away because it constantly spamming us is a pain. We also need to keep away from the edge because the enemy is just going to constantly drop out of the air on us. So we need to take control of that because otherwise the enemy's just going to spam it and just bypass our health straight away. So we want to drop in units that can basically tank for a long time. So probably want to get... We need to keep our tanky boys near the front because obviously that's where they're going to have to be. You and you are going to basically go and try and neutralize some of their potential. I mean, I don't even like the fact that when we drop from the sky, we can't then attack, because it means that certain units become absolutely useless. So it's better off just not doing AoE drops. It's better just to wait for them to come across and just kill them as they're coming across. But we can't get too close, because if we get too close to the edge, the AI is just going to start doing the whole dropping from the sky malarkey. I mean, I'll keep someone near a rope, I suppose, just so that we can drop them in to deal with that kind of thing. Maybe send him, drop him out of the air, and he can just like hack away at the back line. But the problem with that is, even if we do that, the enemy is just going to keep spamming all their attacks. So let's see what happens. So he's going to go for a rope or the like, isn't he? I mean, what you really want to do... I wish there was like a pass action. That's what I really want. I want a pass action so that I can drop someone... I want to be able to basically just drop in behind people and knock them off. He's going to run to that. And load that broken thing up. I don't know, like, I don't want to stop playing this game, but at the same time, it's like really frustrating how... Like, it's really frustrating just how broken certain elements of it are. So he's now going to go and shoot that. And this is the thing, if you're going to have abilities which do that, like, at least don't have them constantly taking off, like, because now he's just going to kill me with this. which basically ignores armor. So you've got an unlimited spammable ability which basically ignores armor. Fantastic. I mean, like, it's like makes the point of having tanks or anything like that in this game useless. And then you have this, which basically just... Then comes an AoE. You see what I mean? Like, it's... I'm really not having fun. Like, I don't like these... Like, I don't know who thought up these mechanics, but they are just really dull. Because it's just like, oh, okay, so you just constantly spam this one thing. Like, I want to finish playing this campaign. Like, I want to do this, but if a game is not fun for me to play, I'm not getting paid to do this. So I'm not going to continue playing a game that I'm finding increasingly more and more frustrating to play. Because it's just not worth it for me to do, especially when it's a mandatory fight. Like, this is the thing I hate about games where it's like, okay, you're making progress. Every time you make a milestone, you're going to have to fight one of these guys, and it's going to be a harder fight every single time. Let me guess, he's going to go and fire the ballista that again. So, I don't know, like, I'd like to get some feedback from my viewers, like, what they think, because I'm just finding the late game content in this game really annoying. It's really obnoxious. And I don't know how best to fix that. I don't know if I can. And it's not me complaining because suddenly I'm overpowered or something like that. It's not the case. I like hard fights. Like, I like XCOM. I like games like that. But this isn't like that. This is basically the fact that they've got an absolute metric ton of enemies on the map, and they've basically been spec'd to do just one thing. Like, it's not tactics where you're basically just spamming the same single ability constantly. There we go, like, another constant hit. It's like, God forbid I have a party made up of sort of like low health characters, because you'd be killed by this straight away. I don't know. It's... Like, this isn't fun for me. Like, I don't like doing this. I don't like being in this situation, but at this late stage in the game, where if you lose characters, the only thing you can do is basically just grind, because that's all you can do. All you can do in Wartales at high level to recover characters that you've lost is basically just grind constantly to get them back. Well, to get back a character of similar quality. I don't know. When I set out today to do this recording for the series, I didn't expect it to go like this, but I am just not happy with Wartales, the late game content in Wartales. I'm not going to lie. I think they seriously need to fix the issues that they have. I don't even know if they can fix them at this stage, because I think it's a fundamental issue that they have with their combat system, which is that they haven't given enough, like, rather than give different options to their enemy units to basically do, They've gone they basically go, because when you have combats like this, you have like two ways you can do it. You can either do hyper optimization or generalization. And the thing is that a lot of their late game stuff seems to be hyper optimized, which is that they do one thing. They have one attack, and all of their talents and abilities and feats feed into doing that one ability. And they become ludicrously overpowered. Now, people can say, well, Cornish, your units aren't wearing the best gear, or they're not got the best equipment. It's like, yeah, that's fine, I accept that. My guys aren't equipped the greatest, but that shouldn't detract from the fact that you've made combats aggressively one-sided by just having broken spam abilities that your units use. Like, it doesn't matter how good a tactician you are, it doesn't matter anything in certain fights in this game that I've played in, is that if the enemy has a numerical advantage over you and they spam just one ability and you don't kill that unit quickly, it can just like completely break you, and that's it. So you're either going to have combats like that and you leave out the gimmicky stuff like blisters or dropping from the air or sudden death by being knocked off the edge of ships. You either just have a straight up slogfest like you normally do in Wartales, or you have the gimmicky basically battle rules like you have in the arena. You don't have both, because when you have both it becomes obscenely unbalanced, because not only are you then having to fight against the enemy force, you're then having to fight against the encounter. So I don't know, like, you can comment on the video below, but I'm not really happy with Wartales at the moment. I want to try and finish the game because I've been playing it for like 100 plus episodes at this point, but I'm generally fed up with the late game content. It feels arbitrarily excessive, their difficulties, especially at high level where you go into a fight and the enemy has like 50% damage reduction and like 50% extra damage, or it feels like the flaws of their combat system became evident at high level, and to counteract their flaws in their combat system they just gave excess buffs to the enemy. It's not even thus. It's like I said, they hyper optimized units to do one thing, and in the low game that's fine because obviously you can counteract it and there's strategy and there's tactics, but at high level when the enemy is doing like half your hit bars worth of damage every time with an AoE attack, it's not really acceptable, especially when you tie in the fact that they can get damage reductions and all these other passives that you don't get and you can't get rid of. I don't know. I'm struggling to continue to play the game in the late game content. I'm finding it really frustrating, especially combined with the fact that the penalties for losing party members at high level are so great, and I don't have the time of day to sit around for like 6-7 hours grinding to get a low level party member up to the level of the party member that died. So I don't know, like, I'd like to hear feedback from people who watch my series of Wartales, what they think, how I should basically deal with this. Like, it's not about getting good or whatever people say about this kind of thing. It's my fundamental frustrations with core mechanics of the game. That's my issue I'm having. Like, hard fights, I'm happy to have hard fights. Like, I've played XCOM, I've played all those kind of things, and I enjoy like hard fights. But there's a difference between having hard fights and having unbalanced. It's not unbalanced, it's not the right word, but one-sided optimizations. Like, it's not like a challenging fight when the enemy has been deliberately, like, it's not challenging if the enemy does a lot of damage or whatever. It's how the game works, but it's annoying when the enemies have been deliberately designed just to do one thing and they spam it. And then you throw in annoying environmental rules to insta-kill people, combined with the fact that I just can't pobble about the region doing stuff like I want to because the enemy has this hunt you down on sight mechanic if your reputation gets over a certain percent. Which, okay, fine, I get it. Maybe if I had just got reputation from doing quests, that's fine. But getting reputation for just exploring and then getting hunted down and being forced to fight a permadeath encounter is stupid. And I don't like it. And it's the same with the final region that we're in, like the other region, like whatever it is, like Alizar or whatever it is, where you get tied into permadeath fights with the Inquisition if you can't finish arbitrary sort of multiple choice questions that talk about game lore, which, to be honest, the game lore isn't really touched upon very much. So, like, you get to them, it's like, okay, what is this god worship? It's like, well, I can't remember because that was, what like 6-7 hours ago, and you mentioned it once. I don't know, I like Wartales, but I'm really not liking how they sort of designed the late game content in this game. The first 2/3 of the game, I liked. All the other regions I've been to, I liked. Yes, the fights were challenging in some places. Yes, some of them were a bit, like, unbalanced and unfair, but it was still engaging and fun. These last 2 regions, I'm just not finding fun. Like, this region we're in with the islands is not bad. I'm enjoying it to a certain extent. But the fact that only some islands have places where you can get resupplied, and like, if you've got to have a village or town, you should have a market. I'm sorry, but like, if you've got enough of a community together on an island where people are living in a community, you're going to have a market. So give a market to all the major settlements in the region, so the players aren't having to like sprint around the map to get food, because the map's much bigger than the counties in the base game. I don't know. I know this sounds like I'm grumbling, and I am to a certain extent, but I'm grumbling because I am frustrated with how the late game content is basically working. And I really don't know how to balance this out. So I don't want to stop playing this game. I really don't. I enjoy it, but at the same time, I don't want to spend like triple my time playing this game because I'm having to bring characters up to level, and like, we lose characters, we lose equipment, and it's not fun. It's not that it's like challenging difficulty, it's just frustrating mechanics. It's just frustrating mechanics that's adding a clunky, unnecessary amount of sort of unnecessary bulk, I suppose is the best term for it. It's just adding an excessive amount of sort of chewiness to the game that the game doesn't need, due to the fact that they haven't been able to balance the late game combats from what I can tell just by playing. It's one of the issues you get with hyper optimization of enemy units, is that you do it because you're not confident that your AI is going to work, so you basically make them super specialized, so they only focus on doing one thing. It's like, well, if I can't trust the AI to be tactically minded, I can specialize its attack approach to be super focused on doing one thing. So while our characters will have multiple abilities and multiple things we can do, the enemy AI has one ability, and all its buffs focus on, all its traits and buffs focus on doing that one ability. And I don't like the approach myself. But that's just me. Well, I've been Cornish-knight, this has been Wartales. No, it's been a bit of an off-brand episode, sorry about that. But I see you again next time. Goodbye.